Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well today. I'm rambling about the Ali Modular ESU's Trifecta. It sounds like this. Okay, quick piece of housekeeping before we get started here. Ali Modular reached out and asked if I was interested in doing an episode on the ESU's Trifecta. I said absolutely, as long as I could say whatever I want in it. They said absolutely, but explicitly said that I have to send this back to them when I'm done making the episode. So it's not sponsored or anything like that. I will take the opportunity to make an episode on any module I can get my hands on. Did, however, ask them if it was accurate to refer to Ali Modular as a new eurorack manufacturer from Jamar Ali and Chris Roberts, and they said it was accurate. So this is the ESU's Trifecta. I'm going to point out that it is a multiple effect, not a multi-effect, meaning it can do 3 effects at the same time, something similar to like a Modbat Performer or an Endorphin's Ghost, not like an Effects Aid where it's one algorithm that you switch between different effects. It can be 3 simultaneous effects running at the same time. Now, where ESU is very different from those other modules I just mentioned is it is quite deep. I would describe it as like an effects designer if I could, meaning that there's like a lot of depth, and 8 CV inputs is crazy, freely assignable as well, where something like the Endorphin's Ghost has maybe a switch of the reverb mode. There's just a mix and a length, basically, right? The ESU is going to give you control over every parameter you can think of with all of the modulation. It's clockable. Not only does it have a duck in, but it also has an envelope follower at the audio input. Just trying to point out that it is a beast. And I think that level of depth is really nice for running synthesizer voices into it. So if I feed it like a lead line, I can give it some panning control. I can EQ it right on the board if I wanted to. It can be the filter as well. It has some great filters on here, as well as preset hopping if you want to use it for stacking like all the things I would want in a lead, like a chorus, a shimmer reverb, maybe a compressor, maybe some distortion, maybe. I really want to point out the amount of control you get with ESUs is kind of where it differentiates itself from the others. Okay, let's go through the panel. There's a nice screen. I really appreciate my screens if you've been watching the channel for some time. I would hate to try and navigate something as deep as this without a screen, but it doesn't stop lots of manufacturers. Then we have 4 encoders on the right, which are used for controlling different things depending on the context. Right now we're in main mode as indicated by the screen. I'm not using any effect algorithm on this channel, so nothing's going to change, but it does show you where you're at with it. And there are some things that I really, really love about this encoder display that we'll talk about in a moment. But when you switch over to something like Alt, there's another 4 set of parameters usually. So if we tap Alt again, we'll switch back to the main. There is global settings that gives you a whole bunch of contextual views, and one of my favorites is not the mod config, but the mod meters. So when you have a ton of modulation going, you'll be able to see what's going on in here. So on that note, let's hit play. And you'll see the envelope follower on here is tracking the input here. And it's really fun once you get really in the weeds with the ESU to come into this screen and just see where are my LFOs going, how much amplitude is coming out of the envelope follower. It's a deep module, so we better get moving right now. You'll see there's 3 effect slots. I've assigned them all to none. I want to point something out quick that I discovered the hard way, that when you bypass an effect, it still takes up CPU space. So if you're not going to use it, probably set it to none, but you can choose your effect slot by scanning through here. Another thing I also did notice, you can't stack effects, meaning I can't have 3 instances of the same effect. You gotta use unique ones. I can't do pan on pan on pan. So we're going to do a quick run through of all the effects on the synthesizer voice. I want to just quickly touch on them all, talk about the ones that I like and the ones that I don't, because if we got into the weeds with every single one, this video would be hours long, but let's get into it right now. Auto pan. And this is clocked so you can hear it going ear to ear, hopefully. Super useful when you're getting into huge atmospheric leads. We have the CERN, which is a new, incredibly deep granular synthesis algorithm that I believe they just added. So this is a beast of a module, and this is a beast of an effect. This onto itself has the depth of something like Clouds, and it sounds just as good. If we increase the spread, I'm going to start to talk about other things that I love about this module, like the encoders. Notice dark matter is going to be like reverb here. Do less spread. do tiny grain sizes, lots of dark matter being reverb. But I want to point this out with this control here. The screen shows us where our encoder is at here, and I really appreciate that. It also uses catch encoders, which I absolutely love. Lots of manufacturers use just jump encoders, and I hate it. It's so nice on here to see, well, where am I at right now? I am at 8 particles. Okay, so let's go take the encoder to where that is, and now we can bring it down to less particles. And when you have low particle count, it's going to be almost like looping. But let's bring the size up huge again. Big spread, lots of reverb. Low particle count. Let's do lots of particles. And then, like I said before, there is the alt section. We'll go into alt. And what parameters are on here? Well, you can have pitch shifting. And again, it's a catch parameter, so see it's at that bottom setting. Go down and catch that. Do some octaves. And then the shape of our envelope, another classic granular thing. Triangle might be decay, ramp up and down. These might be a little more attack, might smooth out these a little bit. And then these rate options. These names are crazy from what I recall. Yeah, quark. I don't know what photon is. I think this one kind of made it sound a little shimmery, and I like that. I'm dedicating a little more time to the CERN because it's so new and such a deep one. I think like granular probably something that might make or break something like the ESU for you. So again, dry or wet on here. I love being able to catch that. In a performance, you're not having the dry crank up to 0 or 100 just because you touched the encoder. So I really appreciate that. I think we could live in the CERN world all day, but we got to move forward. Here's a compressor, and I would just want to say quick on this one. I know compressor isn't something I usually would use on an individual synth voice, but auto makeup gain, thank you. Why is this so rare on modules? Why is it always manually defined? I really love that. Anyway, get it to the main view. You have threshold. Let's lower our threshold. You can just slam this basically, crank up our ratio, attack to 0. I really like how this one sounds, and we should try running a drum bus through it later because a single voice in isolation, not super interesting. However, what is really interesting on the screen here, there is level meters right on the main view for the in and outputs. So you can see it's actually boosting our synth voice a little bit because the output level is a little higher, which is just a nice indicator. There's lots of nice indicators on here. Chorus on here I really liked as well. Come in here, catch that encoder for speed. Let's make it a little slower. Depth, I don't want any shortage of depth. I would rather use mix, but if we make it a little faster. Feedback, interesting. Get some of that comb filtery stuff, that vowel-y stuff. Go to the alt controls. I like to mix my courses in. And one thing that's been a little bit annoying, is something I hope they can patch, is when there's not a parameter, it still gives you all of the encoder stuff. So there's still a catch point, even though I'm editing nothing. So I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't a problem if you're not shooting a video, but when I'm on here, I'm like, okay, I caught nothing and we are editing nothing. So anyway, let's go back to the main screen, go to crush tone. So we have bit crusher sample rate. We can have it basically be full or bit crush it. Kind of turns belly, you know? 16 bits at the top or all the way down to 2 bits. No, 4. Nice modem sounds. There's kind of like a DJ style filter here in the tone knob. Love that. Oh, you can choose your filter type. Okay, we got low pass, band pass. So if you really want a DJ style filter, or you really want to sculpt your sound EQ style, switch it to band pass and do some of that. This is one I really liked, so I don't want to spend all day in every algorithm, but that is one that I really enjoyed. Let's go back to our delay designer. Insane amount of depth on that one. I won't spend a huge amount of time on there because there's multiple lines. It's a beast. Distortion, I just wanted to cover this one a little bit of depth because I really wish they were able to do more with this, because at its most extreme setting, like absolutely dimed, it's kind of, I'll turn the threshold all the way off. It's kind of, it's really interesting that there's different modes, but they're all like this is completely dimed, and it's, you know, again, I'm editing values for nothing. I just would love to see some more distortion algorithms on here in the future. Here's the 4-band, and this is super useful utility. So we have the high frequency, So you're setting where the high is, setting where the mid is, setting where the low is if you want, and setting where the sub is. But if you go to Alt, you can set their gain. So I want to crank the high end, scoop my mids, and boost my lows. And then let's try catch the sub and crank the sub. We'll pitch it up a little bit so it's more in the audible territory. I just think this is an awesome utility. Then this mode they call the ladder filter, but it actually is multi-mode filter because you can choose your ladder type. Cut off. I'm impressed with how good this sounds. I'm always impressed with how good digital filters can sound. The same one for the effects aid as well. A little resonance. Crank the drive. Yeah. And then there's bass comp, so if you want to do some of that. No shortage of bass though. Yeah. If we go into Alt though, we can completely change the filter mode. That was high pass. Let's get into low pass. Switch back to main. Bring my cutoff up. Yeah. Go back to Alt. Try some different filter modes. Low pass 24, 12 dB. Band pass 24, band pass 12. High pass 24, high pass 12. So if you want to hear the difference in slopes, here you go. Yeah. And I'm really impressed with that. ECU's rhythm. So this is influenced by like dub delays. So if we go and go 1-to-1, maybe let's go greater division. We can crank this up if we do tons of feedback. Cut off. And Alt. Low pass. And get high divisions with those high feedback settings. Deselecta. It actually sounds really good. Oh, and it'll go. I love that. Lots of digital feedbacks will prevent you from doing, like, feedback. And feedback is just a parameter for delay amount almost, but often they do things to prevent you from doing things like this. And I don't want it. I want to do it. Okay. Go back to the main screen. Now there's lots of different delays on here. I like the rhythm. Rhythm is one of my favorites, surprisingly. There's a tape delay. Now this shimmer is one of my favorite effects on the whole module, so let's go in and change it. It has onboard LFO with mod rate and depth, so let's bring up our rate, crank the depth. Maybe we'll bring our rate down and depth up. Dry, wet up, and then I'll go into the main parameters. So time, I'll bring it down a little bit so it can be super short, but I kind of want to keep it in like cloud of reverb territory. Dampness. Turn that down here. This is, add some more decay just to blast this cloud full. I really like this. This algorithm is really nice. But I will say, I find myself at 100% most of the time. Because I love making this shimmery cloud. Might be my favorite effect on the whole thing. That's why it's hard to leave it. So then there's also a straight up verb, and these verbs are great. My buddy and I always have this discussion about, like, is there bad verbs? And if you know a bad reverb out there, if you've heard a bad reverb, shout it out. Because I find, like, all reverbs are beautiful, and It's hard to get ones that I really hate. And even if I don't like them that much, if you mix them in subtly enough, they usually sound fine. Delays, on the other hand, they can either sound amazing or horrible. Reverbs. It's just always nice to have some space. Bob Ross, everyone. He definitely didn't say that. Okay. Flanger, another awesome utility, if I could call it that. I know it can get super extreme, but it's one of those things that I don't have a dedicated flanger module. I've never thought to pick one up even. I think of it as utilitarian in that way, given that this can cover that bass for you. Alt parameters. I'm trying to not do this for every algorithm, but it's so tempting to just jump in and do it for every algorithm. Limiter as well, super useful. If you want this to be like a dedicated digital compression station, it's super useful. You have a compressor, you have a limiter, you could even throw some distortion going into that. Almost makes you want to have like 2 ECUs to do double duties, but obviously that would be ridiculous. And again, I think having a look-ahead control is something I've never seen in a eurorack compressor of any variety. I know that this is a limiter, not the compressor, but I just point that out to show there is a lot of depth here. Phase shift. I really like this, so this is a great one, especially for running a drum bus into. Feedback, we'll go to Alt. How many poles do you want it? Because it's a type of delay effect technically, right? So you kind of get into, if I'm not mistaken, I think the poles parameter is part of do hear it clipping, and you can see it on the screen. Pitch shift. Love this. Octaver. Create some intervals. It's also super useful for making power chords, right? So I'm going to go up 5 semitones, go into Alt and just mix this in. There's a little bit of delay, but it essentially creates a chord for us, right? I love that about that. If we change it to be an octaver or octave up, that little bit of delay gives it that plucked string instrument sound, hey? Or resonator sound, maybe? And then this ping pong delay, I said I wasn't going to spend a bunch of time on each individual algorithm, but then I find I'm enjoying exploring them so much. This ping pong is great too. Of all the delays on here, this might be my favorite. It's just easy to pick up and go, and it sounds great. So if I go Alt, I'm looking for an EQ basically. Let's make it a little wetter than we probably should, just to keep it straightforward. Stereo width. No EQ setting, I suppose, but sounds great. Professor X, another crazy delay, reverse delay. Super cool. My only thing with reverse delay though is I don't know if I want the ability to switch forwards delay to reverse. I wouldn't necessarily want to live in reverse delay land. Another great utility, ring mod on board. So it's basically ring mod smashing 2 oscillators together essentially. You can set the pitch of the oscillator you want to ring mod it to. And mix it in. Sorry, I have to find the parameters. For a little bit of ring mod. Just awesome utility to have on here. Shimmer Storm, another great reverb. And Storm, similar but without that shimmer. Again, I'm adding parameters that aren't doing anything. If we just crank the time of this one up, diffuse up. See, this one has a gain setting. That is a nice reverb. I like when you can just hear the delay line a little bit, right? where it's not a complete cloud, but there is just a little bit of sweeper. Oh man, there's so many. Sweeper, tremolo. So that's a quick run through of all the effects. I'd love to see some glitch focus stuff and some more distortion options, but what it has on here is pretty impressive. So all the individual effects sound great, but you can stack 3 of them on top of each other. So let's load a preset. Do that by hitting preset at the top. Now I want to point something out at this step here. I view screens as a silver bullet for not needing button combos, but there's no enter button on the Trifecta, so recalling a preset requires a button combo, unfortunately. But let's find something that is drums focused, because we're going to send it drums now, and I thought there was bass ripper on here somewhere. Bass ripper, so shift edit will recall the preset. Wish it didn't require a button combo, but it is what it is. Here comes play. Yes. Chorus distortion and 4-band, I'm all for it. Turn up the level on my end. And this is just the bass. I am side chaining here in a way by sending the envelope out of the steady state gate in there. So if we take that out, not much of a change. It might not be wired in the preset. Let's bring in some other drums. This sounds absolutely bonkers. Let's take a different preset. Huge shimmer. Sure, space will be yeah. Bring down my kick. I mean, there's soundscapes in here. This almost seems like a stress test. Channel strip. This weird sound is my weird R2D2 preset. Hold on. Let's go into the wavetable one, maybe. That's better. Also, steady state gate is like my favorite kick. Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, compressor and limiter, 4-band EQ. All on board. I'm standing on the 4-band. Crank that high gain. Crank that low. Scoop that mid this time. So I got some of that kind of bassy nastiness. Yeah. Make a blank one. I don't know. What do we want to add here, folks? Let's do this chorus, which on a drum bus sounds really cool. Auto pan. Compressor. Then we'll go into the settings. Short releases. Short attacks. Crank the ratio up a little bit. Lower the threshold so you can hear that coming in. Go over to the alt screen. Crank the makeup gain. That's so nice. It's so nice to just have that tied to the ratio, though. Yeah. Switch over to something else. Granular. And the other thing, so we're jamming this live. If you don't want to scroll through them on stage, if you hold shift, it'll blink, so you're kind of cueing them, right? So I can pass over to, I don't know, let's try pitch shift without stepping through all those other different effects. Let it go. Yeah. I love the depth. Let's try some CV modulation. I haven't even touched it yet. In comes CV1. Set through the settings, mod config. So CV1 is going to go to M1 speed. This is how they handle it. There's a matrix on here, and there's mod presets saved individually. Again, a lot of depth, but I love this, where you can just see the modulation, right? If I throw this into another input, it's modulating on that side. An LFO that's unclocked in the CV1. And I'll show you what I absolutely love about this. If we go back over to CV1, it's a tad fiddly, but I think I'm getting it. So you are scrolling through not the CV slots, but the different parameters and assigning them CV. So if I want to do, let's modulate our dry wet, then I better go assign that to CV1. Let's take my triangle and put it in CV1. See CV1 assigned to the dry wet of the chorus. One of my absolute favorite things on this whole module is if I go into dry wet and bring this down now, it will freaking show us where the CV is applying it. And I think that's absolutely genius. This is like something I've been asking for on most every module. Show us how the CV, how our modulation, where CV isn't present, is affecting it. That's beautiful. And if I want my sidechain to affect something else, we'll go back into settings. Let's duck our compressor with the envelope follower. Bring in some more tracks. Look at our dry wet going on that screen. It's just showing us where the modulation is happening, right? I just feel like that is such a great piece of communication. The speed being modulated by something that was probably not intentional on my part, but it's great because it shows you right on there, right? Go back over. And multiple destinations. So if I want to have CV1, modulate all of these things, you can. So in my books, that makes ECU Trifecta more powerful than Electron One. I'm just joking. Please don't crucify me. Get some using the threshold to create some pumping from that alpha. Yeah. Okay, I'm tafony. I always try and make it clear that I'm not a reviewer, I'm not a journalist, I'm not trying to assess stuff. When it comes to something like the ECU, I feel like it's so new that there is some value in sharing my input on it. Most of the effects on board sound great, some of them just sound okay, and that's to be expected. The amount of control, of modulation, of settings, of sound design is insane. That insane amount of depth brings a little bit of fiddliness with it. If, and given how many updates they've done so far, adding the granular engine and so forth, if they can just iron out the friction that it takes to get at all of that power and make it a little bit more streamlined, I think you have one of the best eurorack effects options there is. So kudos to them for their first module, because really, really well done. All right, I'm tafony. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next video.